You've done nothing notable with your life, but thank you for being here.
Myself?
Yeah, you're not an author or
I'm technically an author.
or a movie star.
No, I'm technically an author.
Are you?
I've written some things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Cheers.
I have too. I've written a couple of things.
I even published a couple things. They're not really
Like
a note.
Comments on Facebook.
No, I have definitely done that. That's true. So I definitely am an author of comments on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I don't know that I've ever commented
That might be
on
top
Facebook.
3 funniest things you've ever said.
Like I've published comments on top 3. Come on, top 10. I say funny things all the
I'm not sure
time.
it's the funniest thing, but maybe it is.
Listen, we've got a show here today.
We got a show. There's
hear
dogs barking.
Dogs in the
Dogs
background.
barking
They probably
outside.
You probably can't hear it on here, but
Maybe not.
did you? So we got Dave Chappelle
Dave Chappelle.
got tackled.
Yeah, I
on
saw
stage.
that.
Did you
That
see
was
that?
awesome. Yeah.
I got the video.
He almost
pulled up so you
sidestepped
can look
it. He kind of.
he almost missed it. The guy went down,
Yeah.
and then the guy ran away. Oh, I got the video. We'll play
That
it.
took way too fucking long for somebody to jump in, though.
Well, Dave Chappelle was saying early or like just recently that he needed more security.
Yeah.
But then also we've got I don't know if you've heard the name Avi Leob or whatever. No. I don't know if he went on Rogan. He went on Lex's show, Lex Friedman. That is.
Does he just go by Avi or something? I know.
Avi AVI.
Oh,
And then his last name is Leob. He's an astrophysicist. He works at Harvard. He right now he works at Harvard at like this program that they recently started, which is it's like a very serious academic attempt to do what they can to kind of find evidence of extraterrestrial life, instead of the kind of in the public anyway, right? Who knows what the government's doing behind the scenes? We know they've been doing stuff behind the scenes, but he entered the news a while back. Do you remember that object, that interstellar object that entered our solar system, that Amumu or whatever? It was like really long.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, it could be a spaceship or something. Right. He kind of got a name of himself because he was bringing up that this object could very well be, some kind of alien technology or some kind of like space junk.
You know what I think it is?
What do you think it is?
I think it's Dr. Evil's re-entry into the atmosphere.
Well, it didn't come anywhere close to the atmosphere, so I think
was it shaped as a big boy?
Yeah. But so he's recently come out and he's talking about this was just the other week how there was a object that is confirmed to be interstellar that crashed into the Pacific Ocean in 2014, I think, and he's now saying that he thinks that it could be some kind of alien technology, and so he's like, let's go and try to find it kind of situation, which is an interesting premise. And then there was this Brock University professor talking about time travel and how time travel might be a thing, but that's interesting. So yeah, that's what we'll be getting into today.
All
and
right.
Whatever else comes up randomly. But
and obviously we're going to talk about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. Obviously,
I don't know anything about that.
Neither do I. That's why we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, so we should probably talk about it. It's been a good hour on that. We don't absolutely.
He's suing
about
her
it.
for $50 million. She's suing him for $100 million or some bullshit.
Oh, so it's just tit
that's
for
fun.
tat.
That's pretty fun.
I got the Dave.
Oh, you're
Chappelle,
suing me for 50? I'm suing you for 100.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm going to counter. You're sued for 200. Let's just keep going.
Well, we'll see how high it goes. I mean, why is she suing him? Like, hasn't she been like exposed of like being in the wrong, basically?
I don't. Yeah, it's like there's a mixed bag, man. I don't know. I've seen some weird shit going back and forth. I don't know. It seems like some of her claims are bullshit, though. But
probably. I mean, she claimed that like he abused her.
Yeah, she was claiming a bunch of abuse. But yeah, some rape and stuff.
It's like no way.
She seems a little sketch, but
yeah,
I don't know. Who knows?
Right,
maybe he was hitting her.
Just a few seconds of. This is what
the,
happened.
The tackle.
Yep.
Make some noise for hip hop history.
Look at that. He just runs up and he gets him. And then he runs away, and no one gets him. No one gets him.
No one got him?
No, well, he got behind the
he got
stage.
beat.
He's going to get got.
Yeah, he got beat.
But the fact that, like, he gets him, and then he...
Oh, yeah.
Then he gets away.
Yeah, but look, Dave almost shook it.
There should have been 4 guys on him already.
What was that guy trying to do anyway? He just tackled him. Like, what was he trying to do?
Well, listen, this is, we're dealing with basically violent politics now.
No, I know, but I mean,
So,
it's not like he.
that's what it
It's
is.
not like he.
Yeah, well, these are,
he
like...
went actually to attack him. He kind of just tackled him.
Well, apparently he was armed with something, actually.
Oh, was he?
I remember seeing something. I don't know what it was, if he had a knife on him or something.
Oh, shit.
He didn't use it, but clearly.
Oh, good.
But
Yeah,
that's like a scary shift, right, in politics. Now you have stand-up comedians that need to beef up their security because they might get jumped by an audience member.
Yeah, because they say things that are.
Well, because they make jokes.
Yeah, they say things that are funny.
And you're not allowed to make jokes anymore,
No.
apparently.
No, you can't make jokes. You're not allowed to talk anymore unless everybody that's talking agrees.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
If one person disagrees, like, that's it. You're gonna get tackled on stage.
I just had a personal situation with someone I know that we were talking about the Ukrainian thing, and well, they didn't want to hear it.
What was their
They shut right down.
What was their take?
Oh, it's, I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but because a personal friend of mine, but yeah, they're like, I don't know. Okay, so I'll just tell you how it kind of started. I just said that I think that
Maybe there's
a lot of
more to this.
No, not even that. I just said I think a lot of this is happening because Biden's a weak president.
Oh yeah,
and
I think that's a reasonable
yeah,
comment.
and it was that turned
Even if you
into-
disagree, I think it's a reasonable comment.
Yeah, exactly. And then it turned into a thing, and then it was like it was basically the equivalent. Nah, I'm not listening. I'm not listening. You know, like you mean? It was basically the equivalent of that. It's like where somebody just shuts down. You can't have an opinion unless it
That's why I
completely
think-
fucking matches the other person's opinion.
Yeah,
Like what we do, the debates we have, and then even sometimes we get a little heated. No, you can't do that.
yeah.
It's like at least we're
Yeah.
mature enough to do it. You can get
Yeah.
a little heted sometimes and
Yeah.
know that it's not going any further than that little
No,
bit of heat.
It's just an argument.
Right.
Sometimes it's fun to argue.
Sometimes,
I don't know, just a little bit. Just to
Yeah,
get
sometimes
into
you got a little little
it. You got a little chip on your shoulder.
Well, or
you
a
gotta
little-
make something happen, right?
little built up fucking. I want to let it out on you a little bit.
Yeah.
And, yeah, who knows, right? It doesn't matter.
But
But-
some people can't handle that.
Yeah.
Some
Well,
people, you raise their voice and then that's it.
we've gotten to that point
You have
now
a different
where it's
opinion and that's it.
we've gotten to that point over the long period of time now that it's just like discourse isn't really allowed. You just
That's what we're seeing with the Twitter situation.
yeah.
Did you see that in the UK they were like calling Elon Musk to testify, and they were, I don't know how serious they are, but they were kind of flexing a little bit, floating the idea of banning Twitter
Wow.
because of free speech. And they're talking about like, this was an interesting point. Like they keep bringing up like online violence. It doesn't exist. It's not a real thing.
Exactly. It's not violence if you don't-
Right, so if you brought that up to them, you said, okay, online violence doesn't exist. They'd be like, well, what about situations online that lead to violence in real life? Well, that's real life violence, and that's a crime.
Yeah.
It's already a crime,
Yeah.
Like, if you don't think the police are good enough to stop it, then maybe we should think about, doing something in that regard. But you want to defund the police.
That's like anything. That's like saying, that's mailed violence.
Oh, I
Because
know.
you mailed someone
Listen.
a letter that said you were going to do something, and then
Mail
you
violence.
ended up doing something.
Yeah.
What do you mean? The
But I
letter
mean,
didn't-
even when you say you're going to do something, I mean, I would be okay if we took even obvious, if we just decided that we were going to take even obvious non-serious threats online seriously.
Sure.
But not in the sense of like we're going to ban you off the internet for it.
Yeah.
In the sense of like if you post on the internet like, oh, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to kill you. It's like, okay, the police are going to come and knock on your door.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe it doesn't amount to anything because it's a joke and it's not serious, but enough to scare people, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
we take this seriously.
But that's a dumb joke anyway. Like, I'm going to
Yeah,
come
no.
to your house.
That's a joke you make when you're 13 playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
and,
I mean, if you said something if you preface the whole thing with absurdity, you said, all right, you know what? I'm going to get a
get
giant
an arm.
blimp and I'm going to
Yeah.
crush you with a giant blimp. Like, okay, the likeliness of that happening, I mean,
it's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
I might be able to pull it off.
maybe, but if you
try.
can, hey,
No,
fuck,
no.
I guess all the power to you kind of thing. But you know what I mean? If you say, I'm going to come to your house and smack the shit out of you, that's a legitimate threat.
Yeah.
Whether
It
you're
should
kidding
be-
or not.
it shouldn't be like you're banned off Twitter. That should exist on Twitter.
Yeah.
And maybe you should get a knock on the door from the police. Be like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, this is
Well, no, I kind of disagree there. I mean, if it's an overt threat, yeah, I think it should be banned off Twitter because it's like free. That's not covered under free speech. Violence isn't covered under free speech. But if it's
call to violence, I think it's different if it's like if I'm saying, okay, everybody, you should go and attack Alex, versus me saying I'm gonna go attack you. I feel like just for the sake of people knowing like the kinds of things that the kind of person you are, the kinds of things that you're saying, like I want to know who the assholes are. So I agree that's why I'm not really like I would like as much stuff to be up there as possible. Like people online like advocating for like child porn and stuff like that. I want that to be front and center.
So do I.
Because I want to know who those people are.
So do I. But that's not like an overt act of violence.
Well, no. But
you know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying.
But it would be different if I posted, let's say I'm a pedophile, I say, hey, Tyler, I'm coming to rape your son. That's an overt act of violence. Whether I'm kidding or not, that's an overt call to violence. So I think that absolutely should be banned. But also the knock on the door. Like I think both can happen. Yeah. So that's true. But all this, the problem is all these gray areas, right? They go, oh well.
Well, the gray areas is where they consider like hurt feelings to be like legitimate claim to oppression.
Exactly. That's an act of violence somehow. I use my words.
The entire premise of the Dave Chappelle thing is just he said a joke that hurt
a bunch of people's feelings.
Like it's a lot of it is like they're speaking on behalf of people who aren't even offended. Like they just want something to be angry at, and they'll escalate. Like I don't know.
Just look at it. Well, it's just the cultures move that way. Like you look back like 30, 40 years ago, that was fine. Like remember when Eddie Murphy in his first couple of comedy things.
Who was it? Who got arrested?
What do you mean?
A lot of people consider him like the greatest comic of all time. He got arrested.
You mean Bill Cosby?
No.
Oh.
No, not Bill Cosby. Oh. No, he got arrested for he did a comedy. You're gonna call me an idiot for not knowing this. He did a comedy bit, or a show was titled like things you can't say on TV, and he just said all the words that you're not allowed to say, and they arrested him for it.
Was this recent?
It was like the 90s or something.
Oh, I don't. Like Richard Pryor or something.
No.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Hold on, which comedian?
George Carlin or
George Carlin, I think.
Carlin?
I think it was George Carlin.
I was just naming popular comedians or like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people. Yeah, I'm fairly certain it was George Carlin. I think
I could see him saying something like that. Like
yeah,
he was. Yeah, he was.
If I Google George Carlin arrested,
he would have been very right wing. Right? Like no, he's dead now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think he's been dead for a little
while.
We don't know a lot. We do a podcast, and we talk about shit, but we really don't know shit. You and I, we're always like Googling stuff, and we're.
Well, hey, we have these tools. Oh, it was like 7 words you can't say on TV or something like that, or it was just called 7 words.
Oh,
and he was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct for doing the show, and it was in 1972, I think.
Oh, shit. The woke 70s.
Yeah, well, that was when the sort of cancel culture and everything was on the other side.
Yeah,
that was when it was like the Christian right
and the hippies.
And well, the hippies were like
the hippies would be like the right wingers.
They were like
now.
the right. They are the right wingers now,
yeah.
right? Because the right wingers now are like free speech, love, and live and let live. Like that's like the conservative movement now, and then in the past, and then we gotta, these books are satanic, so we gotta burn them. And, they're doing they're doing satanic rituals in the schools and stuff like that. That was the right. Oh, how times have changed.
So weird.
It's so weird.
It's just it moves around so much that it's hard to keep it straight.
Yeah, because it's all meaningless.
Yeah,
it makes you think that like it's being it's like it's a divide and conquer sort of thing. It's like we need to make sure so the masses are kind of going to be, they're sort of like this amorphous blob, right, kind of moving around, and they're going to kind of take forms throughout history, and they're going to pick sides on things. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to like take something and slice that blob up so the blob turns on itself, and so that they can like get something around it and like reel it in and then have
That was a weird statement, but I somehow
you
followed
know what
along.
I mean.
I somehow followed
because
along.
it made sense.
Well, it didn't. It did, but it didn't. It was like weird. It was really weird. But it.
Well, you know what I mean.
I
Like
know-
with
I
the
know-
liquid, the way liquid
yeah,
kind
I
of
see.
sticks together.
Yeah.
And then you kind of got like two. Well, it's kind of all the same because most people agree. Like we talk about this all the time. Most people agree on most things, but they're trying to split it up decidedly so that it's like two separate ones. And then when it's two separate ones, they're like, pointing at, hey, that's the bad guy, and so then you fight each other. Whereas they're over here trying to
They're pulling
block
all the
you in.
strings.
And they could be the lizard people. I don't know. You think
They
they're
are the lizard people. They have to be.
They could also be.
What
the
is
Greys.
what
Or the Nordics?
the Nordics?
I think that's what they're called. There's the Greys. There's the tall Greys. There's the Nordics.
You know what this sounds like?
There's the lizard people.
This sounds other than the lizard people. This sounds like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, somewhat.
The Greys, the
Are
Nordics.
there Greys in Game of Thrones?
It's the whites, or no, it's not it's not. Oh God, what is it? It's the White Walkers. The White Walkers, yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, some weird shit. I was thinking what we were talking about. Yeah, we were talking about Chappelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should definitely have a lot more fucking security. He's
Yeah,
really
now.
popular. He's also controversial. I didn't think he
Somehow.
was. Yeah, I say that and I roll my eyes when I
Joe
say
Rogan
it.
is controversial.
You're right. That's what I
You
mean.
listen
Like,
to Joe Rogan talk. It's like, how's this guy controversial?
I know.
How is this psychedelic hippie controversial?
yeah, he's controversial because he's fucking popular. Because people like what he says because it meshes
It
with
resonates.
most fucking people.
Yeah, it resonates.
Yeah, and people and the people that think they're not like, okay, for example, there's a guy on my football team that one time I said I listen to Joe Rogan, and he's like, oh yeah, I could see that, or something like that, whatever. He's like, oh, no surprise, that's what it was. He goes, yeah, oh yeah, that's no surprise.
Yeah,
Like,
well, yeah,
what do you
because
mean
he's
by
the
that?
Well, it's because he's the number one podcast in the world.
Right. He goes, and I'm like, I go, what do you mean by
statistically
that? And he's like, oh, I just knew you'd be the type to listen to
Yeah.
the Rogan. I'm like, have you ever listened to Rogan? He's like, no, I'd never listen to that. I go, people like you are hilarious.
So
like,
you
you put
don't
it
even know
down
what it
because you
is.
don't even know, but you don't even know what it is. Like, if you listen to him, you might be like, oh, fuck me, I love Joe Rogan. You might not too, whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you're ignorant to it, but you've taken a hard line one way or the other. Like, if I'm ignorant to something, I don't really take a line.
Fascinating and disturbing situation of the human psyche where it's we have to have an opinion, right? We have to take a side.
Yeah.
We have to be like this or that,
Right.
A or B.
Well, not everyone. Like, I don't think you and I do. Well, maybe,
Yeah, but
maybe
with
we do a
the
little bit,
exception.
but we don't do it as much. I mean, I'll admit, I'll say, look, I don't really have. I usually use
Right. Okay, but there's a difference between like taking a side because
Yeah.
like you've thought about it, and just taking a side just because you feel like you have to be on a side.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's. I think I genuinely think it's because our language doesn't. It does a poor job conveying the meaning, sort of, when we're talking about beliefs. Because like, so I thought about this a lot. If I say to you, I don't believe in God, you hear, I believe that God doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Even though that's not what I said. So instead of having that, so that automatically leaves two sides, A and B, and no one's really thinking about the middle side, which is like, I don't have a belief. Like, I don't know enough to, have really a strong opinion on this at all. But people don't conceptualize it that way. And so I think it's like that for most things, where people are incapable of like just entertaining ideas without picking a side. Like, it's got to be, it's really like fun in sports. So that's I guess how you can see why we do it a lot. It's just kind of natural.
We're tribalistic.
Yeah.
But it's
It's very hurtful for
it's the
discussion.
limitation of language. So language is limited by our
That's why we need
interpretation
a
of what we're saying.
we need a neutral word instead of
Right.
belief and disbelief. Because like if I if you say you did a double backflip in the backyard and I say, well, I don't believe you. I'm not saying that I believe you didn't do it. I'm saying,
yeah, you kind of are in that case.
no. No. See,
Because I'm making a statement. I'm
Yeah.
saying I did something, and you're saying I don't believe you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not the same as me saying I believe you didn't do it. It's just me saying, you don't necessarily look like you could do a double backflip, so I'm going to need to see that if I'm going to believe
Yeah,
it.
I don't agree with that one. I agree with your first statement. That one I don't, because I made a very hard statement. I said I did a thing, a very specific thing. If I used a vague thing, I said I did something. I used a vague.
No, I think it still holds with a very specific thing because again, like I said, there's a difference. There is a difference, I think you're getting caught up on it because the language, we don't have words for this. There's a very specific difference between believing that you didn't do the thing that you're claiming to do, and just like being like reserved on your opinion.
I know what you're saying. I think you made a bad example with the backflip thing.
I don't think it's a bad example.
I think it's a bad example.
I think it's a very good
I think
example.
that one's very.
I think
plain.
anything is specific.
Your first example was amazing. I believe that that was a very good example. The second one, I don't think so, because for one, like, think about this. If I say to you, I'm going to put this phone on a table, right? You would look for a table, right? Because you know what a table is in your head. Like, you would look for something that looked as though it was a table. Now, if there were a bunch of different tables in the room, some were actually coffee tables, some were such, or even some were like this, a
You got
poker
variation
table.
of tables.
Yeah, where this isn't really a table in the aspect of it's used as every other table. This is used specifically for poker, right? This is a poker table. But our language is too loose to be real specific about it. So this could be sitting on literally like a bench that one would think might be a coffee table, but it's a bench.
And you could refer to it as a table because the word is so broadly vague.
That's what I mean. And that's so like when you're saying something that's sort of broad, our language isn't specific enough to, you know what I mean? Like to really kind of ascertain, because it's so much left for interpretation on that.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is like there is no middle word for that, right? Like, because it is unfair to make a claim that is I don't know what's the right word, like a remarkable claim. Mm-hmm. Like, you're claiming something that's difficult. It's not something mundane like, oh, I walked to the end of the driveway today, right? You're claiming, oh, I did a double backflip. And so it's unfair to say, well, you either need to be with me and take my word for it and, just trust that I'm telling you the truth, or you're against me and you're accusing me of lying.
Well, that's when you say I don't believe you.
Right,
You made a statement.
that's what I'm saying.
You are accusing someone.
Right, because that's what you hear. Because we don't have a language to say.
Well, you could say it differently. Let's say I said I just did I did a double backflip. You could say something like, "Wow, I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think that was something that you could possibly do."
Right. So what I'm,
you know what I mean? It's not
is
necessarily saying that you're lying. It's just saying that I didn't believe it.
There's a difference between, right? So you have the belief. It's like, okay, I believe that you did that, and then there's lacking belief, which is just like nothingness, and then there's believing the negative, which is actively believing that you didn't do the thing that you're claiming to do.
So let's say I said that to you. I did a double backflip, and you go, "I don't believe you," and I challenge you with saying, "Now are you calling me a liar? Because I made a statement to say that I did that, and are you saying that I'm lying?"
I'm not necessarily saying that, but again, what I'm trying to convey, most people are.
That most people are saying that you're lying, you mean?
Yeah, when they say that.
Oh,
when they say I don't believe you, because they don't have the concept that I'm trying to articulate of like that middle point.
Yeah, but wouldn't you think then if that's what most people would believe, that if you wanted to make someone see it differently, that you would say it differently?
Yes, but you would.
If there was no way to say it differently, that's different.
That's what I'm saying. There isn't really.
Well, there is. I just said it to you.
Yeah, but it's not like a culture. Like, it's not something that we recognize. Like, it just isn't. We don't go to that lack of belief perspective ever, right? We go to the belief, or we go to the believing the negative. It's A or B. It's binary.
I agree with that
for most people. And
but I'm trying to relate it to what you're saying there, and I don't see the correlation between that statement versus like the first statement you said. I see the correlation with that, but the second statement I don't see the correlation
because you simply break down the word belief.
Yeah.
When I say I don't believe, I'm not saying I believe you don't or you didn't, but it's interpreted that way because we don't have that. We don't have that. I'm just saying that we need it. And it hurts, like, just the way the English language... I don't know if other languages have alternatives. They might, because there are other languages have different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
But...
they're all versatile in their way, but it's all about, English, like, interpretation.
I think it causes a lot of issues. The fact that... and it could be culture, too. Like, maybe we could come up with a way to inject that idea into the culture. But it seems like it's just... in general, the vast majority of people default to A or B. It's a binary A or B, right? It is or isn't. It's not there, well, I don't have enough information. Yeah. Very few people will go, well, I don't have enough information to, say A or B.
Yeah. Well, there's also the fact that it's like jumping to resolution instead of trying to, maybe get more information. Let's say in that instance, I say, hey, I just did a double backflip. And you go, I don't believe you. And I go... and I take it as you saying that, and I go,
yeah.
You call me a fucking liar? Now, if I were going to be a little more reasonable and stuff,
that is an escalation. Are you calling me a fucking liar?
Right. That's what I'm saying. So, but that's what most people would do, or not necessarily that way, but they would. Escalate
they might not be aggressive.
They might not be aggressive about it, but they would assume that you were doing that, and they would escalate it in a different way, one way or another. Either they escalate it that way, or they'd be like, so you're calling me a liar, or they'd be like, fine, right. You don't have to believe me. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but now
different people respond differently.
Now, a better response, obviously, to that would be if you said something like that to me, I'd be like, well, what part of it don't you believe?
Yeah.
Like, do you not believe that I can do it? Do you think that I lie about things? Like, what is it? Like, what part of it don't you believe?
And I mean, a person like me that thinks about these things, that is less inclined to do a binary P, I'd be like, okay, go. I need to see you do this.
Yeah.
Right. I'd be like, you're gonna have to show me.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't even say I don't believe. I'd be like, no, you're gonna have to show me this.
Or I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Or there's so many different ways. Yeah. And I would do.
Exactly.
I'm the same. I would be that way. I'd be less likely to say bullshit.
But I feel like
unless I really knew
maybe
the person,
80% of people are just default to A or B.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a major problem. It hurts our politics for sure.
Yeah. Like, actually, I should say different. I would probably, if you said that to me, first thing I'd say, I'd be like, bullshit. And then you'd be like, no, seriously, I did it. I'd be like, well, I need to see this.
Yeah.
That would be basically the way I would go. Like, I wouldn't be calling you a liar other than like a joke.
It's hard to believe. Yeah.
And that's
because it's an extraordinary claim.
Yeah, but isn't that the funny thing? Like, I would say that to you. I would say, oh, bullshit. And because of our relationship, because we know each other and shit, you would...
I know what that means.
You would know what it means, essentially. You'd know that I'm thinking that you're fucking with me, and then whatever. Yeah. But if we don't know each other and you say something like that, and I go, bullshit, you're like, this guy's a fucking goof. Like, he's, like he wants to just call me a liar here. You know what I mean? So there's so much nuance and interpretation and all that shit.
Yeah.
So when we're using language, I run into this all the time, and I'm sure you do too, with like text. Text has fucked us up. As far as communication, I think it's destroyed
context.
I think it's part of what's destroyed. Exactly. I think it's part of what's destroyed our ability to communicate with each other. Because if I read a text, right? You send me a text and I read it, I can interpret that text any fucking way I want.
Yeah.
Or I can just read the words and interpret the literal meaning of the words.
I have a good example.
And that's what I get mad at people all the time about. I go, look, listen, if I send you a text, read the fucking words. Don't read what you think might be my mood. Don't read into it. Yeah, just read the fucking words.
Yeah.
We'll
have a more nuanced conversation face to face because when we can do the human thing.
Right.
But when we're doing letters on a screen, just take the different.
I used to fucking argue with my ex-girlfriend like that all the time over text.
Yeah.
It was so fucking frustrating. But anyways,
there's a girl that I used to know. Literally the last communication I had with this girl. I don't know. She must have been. I have theories about her though that might have anyway. she
compose a thought, buddy. Compose a
yeah.
thought. That brain's going nuts.
She randomly. So one day she texts me. She like triple texts me. She's like Ty. I'm like, what's up? She's like,
lure.
She's yeah. She's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, why? I'm like why? What's going on? And she responded something like, rude. And then never talked to me again. This was like a person. I was like friends with her at this time, right?
Yeah.
And I guess it was one of those things you kind of fizzled over time. But it was like, do you actually get offended by that? Because literally, I was just like, well, I was assuming she wanted to hang out or something, right? And so I'm like, why? Like, you want to hang out? Is what I intended.
Yeah.
And I feel like she read so deeply into it that she's like, I'm saying why because I want to know what you want before I tell you what I'm doing in case I don't want to do it. And I'm like, you want to go hang out? I was going to go hang out with you, but I haven't talked to her since. And I won't talk to her since because that's bullshit. That's a bullshit way of ending a communication. So I'm like, no, fuck you.
Yeah. Well, that's stubborn, right? Like that's the stubborn in you. I'm the same way though.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't put up with that shit.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we all like that's the fucking cool thing about the human experience, I guess. Just the fact that we're also so kind of the same but different in nuance, right?
We're just like slightly varied copies.
Right, and there's so many fucking different things that are going on there. Like your mood affects things. Like one day you might take everything I say one way, and the next day you feel different because of your fucking internal mood, and you take everything I say a different way. And it's the exact same fucking thing, but you just took it different.
Yeah.
So fucking crazy. Yeah. I love that. I love psychology, man. I love psychology.
Yeah.
I love the idea of understanding the
concept.
brain. Because my brain's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like I explain this all the time to people that I shouldn't say it on an open podcast, but I go through these kind of like pit and valley type things where my brother diagnosed it one time. I forget what he said. He called it some kind of depression. There is
something called like seasonal depression.
Well, yeah, there's that, but this is different. He called it something else, and it made complete sense. Out of nowhere, for no fucking apparent reason, I'll just wake up one day and I feel down. Like really fucking down. Like down as far as you can go. And I like when it first used to happen to me, I remember I was younger, I didn't know what was happening exactly, so I didn't know how to react, right? I didn't know how to take it. As I got older, I just understood that was a thing. I didn't know when it was coming or what, and the day that would happen, I just know that that's a day that I can't do any heavy lifting, you know what I mean? I just have to kind of fly under the radar that day as best I can. But I know that it's going to go away basically with a sleep. You know, whatever's going to happen, that kind of shit, and it doesn't really affect my life other than maybe with my most personal relationships, because they'll be like, you're off today, and I'll be like, I've been now with anybody who's watching a fucking podcast, but it's a weird sort of experience. But those days, the simplest thing can like overwhelm me, because I'll be like, oh fuck, man, my key didn't work in the door, you know what I mean? Something stupid, and I'd be like, oh, I can't fucking take this. But I know that. But I'm still smart enough at that time to know this is gonna pass, and I'm basically self-talking and going, "You're a fucking pansy. Stop it, you fucking pansy." And I'm doing that all day and bucking myself up to do things. And the funny thing is, if I actually am able to pull off something kind of big, like something, whatever, I'm able to do something that's actually relevant on a day like that. I'm like, holy shit! I get like this almost dopamine reward for it, because I'm like, I did something on a day where I should have been in bed all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so like it's almost like somebody that has a major fear, like a major fear of heights or something, and skydive. It's like that kind of like, I'm like, yeah, I can't fucking believe I was able to pull that off today. And it's only ever really happened a few times where I've been able to do something big on a day where I'm feeling that way. And it's not super often. It's probably like maybe at best once every month or two, right? So, we're talking about like maybe 6 to 10 times a year type thing at best, right? So it's really, really not a thing that's like overwhelming my life where I'd be like, oh, I need to take some pills for this or anything. But so I can understand depression. Like I know what that must feel like for people if they felt like that every day. So I have empathy for people that are going through depression. It's funny because I'm in the middle of that. I have empathy for it, but I also think that we're fucking each other up by prescribing a bunch of pills.
Oh no, the pills and stuff is not good.
Yeah, it just
like,
masks.
You gotta deal with it.
Like some people just need it to write their brain out. I get it, but at the same time, if the pills really aren't working, then there's an underlying something else, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Looking for I forget the exact words, but there's a David Goggins quote that has spoken to me that speaks to kind of what you were saying, but it's something about like, I don't want to fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up, man. Goggins will come get you.
I know he might.
That dude's a beast.
Yeah, but he's talking about like basically, it's basically like you have to find out, like, to know who you really are. You have to like, it's about being in those dark places, in those places where you don't want to do anything, where you don't want to move, and doing it anyway, and finding, like, that's how you find yourself. That's how you can see who you really are. It's like who you are in those moments. Like, what do you do? Man, it's such a good quote. It's such a good quote.
But it's true though. It's like if things always go well for you, and then you never have any real strife in your life, then how are you ever? You know what I mean? Like, how are you ever gonna grow? Or I don't know. I'd rather not go through that shit. Like, I'm not happy that it happens, but it does happen, and I've just learned to deal with it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Who cares about Goggins thing? You'll find
I know.
out.
I'll know it another.
He's got some good shit.
He's got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Is he a life coach? What is he?
Retired Navy SEAL.
Yeah, but is he like a life coach?
I don't know that he does coaching. I think he just, like, he has his book. I think he just kind of does motivational videos on YouTube. Runs a lot of marathons, ultra marathons. Does stuff like that. Does events. I don't know that he does life coaching. I mean, maybe in the online sense, where if you count like a motivational Instagram page as life coaching, maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah.
No segue to the next
Let's
portion, but no real good segue. But
there's no good segue from David Goggins to alien technology crashing into the Pacific Ocean.
Maybe Goggins is an alien who was on one of those things and crashed into.
I mean, he could be
Ocean.
at this point. But this is what Avi Leob or whatever you want to say his name is claiming. I guess this object crashed into the Pacific Ocean in 2014. I think he's actually saying that it was a spacecraft, or it could have been a spacecraft. We know for certain that it's interstellar.
Is that a real shot of it, by the
No.
way? I was going to say.
No, that's not a real shot.
Say, who the fuck got that?
Yeah, no.
That would have been fucking awesome. Imagine getting a shot like that.
That'd be incredible. But I also think something that big would be a lot bigger of a impact.
Well, that would be the first. That would just be the first impact of it right there. You'd have the, like as it was. Once it went through, it would be boom, like the.
But he's saying it could be a spaceship.
Yeah,
which is interesting. 'Cause how common is life out there? Because if they're if they're everywhere, then like one of his ideas about that could have been like because apparently it was long and it was thin, and it something that probably it probably didn't form naturally. But he said it could have been something like a solar sail, or like a junk solar sail, or like some kind of, right? And now it just happened to be passing by us, and we were seeing it. It's like, oh, that's a weird thing. Mm-hmm. But it's like, how much is out there? Because if it's everywhere, then it's maybe likely that this has some kind of extraterrestrial origin in terms of like aliens. and Amamua was. If it's rare, maybe that's not so likely.
Personally, I'd be surprised if life wasn't on every rock in the universe.
Really, every rock.
Every rock. Some type of life.
I don't know about every rock.
Think about this. Well, maybe not every rock, but
I feel like every planet that's got a decent size to it with the molten core, maybe. Because did you know this?
Yeah, but look at even on this planet where shit lives. Shit lives in the weirdest fucking places.
Oh yeah, and it can in extreme conditions.
So, but think about this though. Think about this before you get into that. I don't want to lose this point. Even if you believe in the moon landing, all that equipment was touched by people. They were working on it and shit, leaving microbes and stuff on all of this stuff. Now, one could argue that they clean everything or they do whatever. They do all these different things to make sure that nothing's transported, whatever. But what if something got to the moon? Let's say some, amoeba or something, or amoeba, like more than one amoeba. Tardigrades and all this shit.
Vacuum.
Right. They get there and then just start to multiply. Find something to feed on.
Right? But well, that's possible. But there's the idea that life is seeded by mushroom spores, essentially, that travel through space. But that's a whole different theory. Because, the first life on Earth were funguses.
Mm-hmm.
But...
all the planets have a bunch of mushrooms on it.
Or just that mushrooms are... There's an idea that mushrooms are like aliens and they have a completely different way of traveling through space. So when you eat mushrooms, they're talking to you. But did you know this? That the deeper you go, the more life there is?
What do you mean, in the ocean and stuff?
No, in the ground.
Oh.
There's a higher density of life the deeper you go, which suggests that it originates from within the Earth rather than from the surface. And so it makes a lot of sense to me. And my theory I've had for a while is that maybe pretty much every planet that's big enough has life in it, but it's just that depending on the kind of atmosphere it has and how close to the sun it is and all these conditions, the life that's close to the core, living off the heat from the core of the planet, maybe it just can't always break through all the way up to the surface, right? And then you get a situation like Earth where it can break through up to the surface, and then that happens. But that way life would be pretty much everywhere, and that would mean probably everywhere where complex life is possible. Every Earth-like scenario
that there is
you couldn't have an Earth-like planet without life because it would pop up.
Yeah,
and it makes a lot of sense. It makes sense from a philosophical, theological perspective of the universe kind of being this conscious thing perceiving itself, that life would pop up everywhere it could, because it almost seems like that's the point of the universe in some way, of just life existing.
Yeah. Put garbage in a container and leave it there for a week. Yeah. Where the fuck does all that shit come from? What are the maggots and all that crap? Where does that fucking crap coming from? You know what I mean? You could seal that damn container and they're in there. Yeah. How the fuck is that? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Shit's everywhere, man.
That's what I'm talking about with life itself. I just think life is everywhere. Literally on every planet, every rock there's just different kinds of life.
So that would suggest that there's probably advanced civilizations all over the place.
I completely think that. I don't even think that's plausible. I think that's, possible. I think that's plausible.
Yeah,
I think it's
likely, maybe.
Likely, even. Yeah, it's as high as likely.
Especially, if you think about it, there's just this galaxy alone, and as far as we can tell, there's trillions of galaxies. There's 400 billion stars in this galaxy.
You can't even wrap your head.
Even if life was rare, there'd be tons of it.
and Elon Musk has $1 for every one of those stars.
Is Elon Musk worth $400 billion?
No, I don't know.
I think he's only 200.
Yeah, well, Okay.
So.
Well,
And it is their.
we're splitting hairs here.
Not really. They're also not in dollar forms.
Yeah.
So that's not really the correct way to.
Sorry, maybe he has a quarter for every. Yeah. And then he has some left over.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe Elon Musk is an alien. There are interesting ideas about like why the aliens. I don't know. Your kitchen makes noises sometimes.
Weird creaking and cracking going on.
Well, you got ghosts. Come on.
Jeez, it's the aliens.
They could be here. Well, there's ideas. Hey, there was that report that it's official. Like individuals in the military have encountered invisible beings that they don't. That apparently were humans. So there could be invisible people.
Suits.
Yeah. What's that?
Invisibility suits.
Yeah. Or maybe they can just go invisible with like telekinetic ability. I don't know.
I'm gonna get one.
You're gonna get an
I'm
invisibility suit.
I'm gonna stick things in your bum while you're sleeping.
Well, don't threaten me with a good time. All right.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm gonna be waiting.
Yeah.
Come
on, invisibility
I'll
suit.
I'll sleep on my stomach to make it easier.
You wake up in the morning. Damn, not tonight.
Damn
it didn't
it.
happen last night.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
I'm gonna have to do this myself.
Damn it. I gotta stick things in there myself. I left the door open. I put signs.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about this before about the idea of aliens influencing what's happening
Oh yeah.
now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I heard a story recently that was a little bit eerie. And I've never met like a serial killer,
Yeah.
like an actual psychopath, as far as I'm aware. But
Every one of my ex-girlfriends.
everyone,
Everyone. They're all
single
psychopaths.
one of them.
Yeah. Any girl who didn't want to be with me, obviously a psychopath.
Obviously, what the fuck is wrong with her?
Yeah.
You know. So like people who go and meet serial killers, it's like they say something like there's something about them that's like off, right? Like you look in their eyes and you see it. And so I don't know if this is the same as what this guy was reporting, but this guy was insisting that it wasn't like there was nothing human about this person, and that is they're in Australia. This is kind of during like in the middle of COVID, I think. There was a politician trying to enact like truly Nazi-like powers in there, like just to give the government like this fucking crazy amount of power to do whatever they want, basically. And there was this guy who I don't know what his deal was, if he was like a journalist or something. He was able to sneak into one of these meetings or press conferences or whatever where this politician who was pushing these policies were, and apparently he got really close to the guy within feet and like looked him straight in the eye. Mm-hmm. And he said that the feeling he got when he looked at this guy straight in the eye was like there's nothing human in this person. And so I don't know if he just if he's like describing meeting someone who's truly like a psychopath, or if there is something more to it and that there are like aliens infiltrating our politics and doing things or something. I mean, it could be like, I don't know, demons possessing people. Then I don't know. There's a lot of angles you could take, but it's a little eerie when you think about that. When you think, oh, okay, a politician kind of has this weird aura around them.
Maybe we're getting too close to like discoveries that these extraterrestrials don't want us to get to. Right? They're like, hey, let's reset these guys.
Well, I heard
maybe
an idea.
They're playthings. Maybe there's all kinds of.
I heard an idea today that I get all these ideas from the Mysterious Universe podcast. It's a fascinating podcast where these guys they just talk about these. Some of them are like fucking insane, crazy stories that are really hard to suspend your disbelief for. Some of them are a lot more grounded and a lot more like, okay, these, and what they do is they pull a lot of things together. There's like, okay, here's a bunch of similar stories. So even though maybe it sounds crazy, there's a lot of this going on. One of the ideas that I heard today, now I forgot it. Completely forgot.
You built up all that.
What was it? What was I just saying about politicians, aliens infiltrating?
Walk it back. Replay the tape.
Replay the tape.
Where's Gizzo?
Yeah, I know. Where is he when you need him?
Yeah, he'd
what
get
the
you.
fuck?
He'd bring you back to fucking speed. He's probably tuned out because your
it?
incoherent thoughts.
Oh man,
You had a shitty thought and you forgot it.
it was a good thought.
Nah, I don't know about
It
that.
was an idea. Oh, okay. It was the idea that so the whole concept that everyone's heard that the potential that we were sort of genetically engineered by aliens. The idea is that they had to kind of dial us back a little bit because we were a little bit too clever. Like they needed to be clever to be like good worker bees for whatever their project is, which would be, we don't really know what the deal is with that. But apparently they got a little they were too good, and we were a little too clever.
Maybe they need our greenhouse gases.
Maybe, I don't know.
And that's why
There's
they're
a lot of things.
And that's why they're trying to create like a conflict because we're getting too close to green energy, and they're like, nah, that's not what we want. We want the greenhouse gases.
I don't think anybody's even arguing that, so I don't know that that's. I don't know that.
No, I'm saying that
too
they
much.
want. Hey, well, people are trying to push towards clean energy. I'm saying,
Yeah.
and the aliens don't want that because they need the CO2 emissions and the methane.
Yeah,
that
but
we're
there's no argument against green energy, like other than like, hey, we can't just like flip a switch and do
I know
it.
what you don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that the aliens
Yeah, but you
are
think they
trying
would
to
be
get us
making
to
an
fight
argument.
each other, so we will have to revert back and then keep creating.
You think
dirty
it'd be easier
energy.
to just have an argument for it?
There is no
To
real
keep
argument. What's the real argument for it?
I mean, I'm sure if you were an intelligent alien creature, you could come
I
up
don't know.
with
How
one
could you come up with a real argument that would work?
don't know, maybe
We
something.
should keep polluting if we can do something different.
Well, maybe it's good. I mean, I don't know. I could make an argument because if you go back, I don't know how long, like a couple thousand years or something. Basically, when they were building like all the crazy cathedrals in Europe, the global temperatures were like 3 degrees higher on average. And
I don't believe you.
It was like the wealthiest time in European history or something, but like before modern day. It was like this really prosperous time, and that's why they were able to
The
build
Renaissance?
No, that's more recent. But it was like the most prosperous time where they were able to build all these crazy things. And then global temperatures went down, and so obviously then you have less food and everything. So there's an argument to be made that, yeah, if we can artificially bump global temperatures by a few degrees, we might do better. We might have, it'd be easier to make food. We could have stuff like that going on.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just fucking around. But go ahead.
I don't know. That's the argument. I don't know. That's an argument to keep polluting, I guess.
Yeah, I was just fucking around. You know what?
Yeah.
Who knows? But I think that I think it's possible that we could be being puppeteered by aliens. For what reason? I don't know. But maybe just because we're fun to play with. We're fun to fuck with. Like it's like, let's see what we can get them to do.
Yeah.
See if they blow each other up a little bit. Maybe they've done it a bunch of times, and they know that we always end up like coming back. It's like having an ant farm and killing like 90% of the ants, and being like,
what the fuck is
let's
this?
just
I thought
see-
I got rid of the ants.
yeah, let's just see if they'll fucking redo it again.
Yeah.
And then you watch them, and they're like, holy shit, they rebuilt it again.
Yeah. But there is a disturbing thing. The Mysterious Universe guys, they talk a lot about like abduction stories, and apparently there's been like an eerie like shift in the theme of a lot of abductees, where they're almost like being told that they're gonna have a job at a certain point in time, and it's which is like, what just happened?
What happened there
Oh,
again?
it
Same
blinked.
thing.
It was the same thing. Now the time says 0.
Yeah, but that happened the last time. And,
Yeah, and
we
it
lost
should be. Good.
And we lost our feed, which was funny.
No, it's still going.
But yeah,
I think.
what if they?
Maybe not. It might have.
What if they do?
Oh no, it is okay.
What if they do like ass to mouth on us all the time?
And we just don't know about it.
We don't know about it. Hey, maybe.